we are going to look at some Venn diagrams and operations of sets. So in this first Venn diagram, U, which is known as the universal set, is the set of students that are in a class. So that would be all those names in that rectangle are in a class. Then they're telling us A is the set of students who are majoring in psychology, and then B is your set of students who are majoring in business. So from the picture, they're asking me to determine which students are majoring in only psychology. Okay, so A, the psychology circle was all of this. So if we look at that circle, those 7 students are majoring in psychology. Now, you'll notice there's some overlap. So when we look at the circle B, those are the students majoring in business. So you can see these students that are in the middle, right here, they are majoring in both psychology and business. And our question says, which ones are majoring only in psychology? So we can include the ones that are also majoring in business. So when I say which ones are majoring only in psychology, I'm looking at just these students right here. So I would list that out as Chad, Ken, Nate, and Zoe. Okay, so this is only psychology. These in the middle are both. And then if they were to ask me only business, these would be the ones that are only business. So what are these out over here? Those are students who are not majoring in psychology and they're not majoring in business. So they have other majors in that sense. Okay, so with our second picture, U is still the set of students in the class. This time our A is the students who play an instrument. And our B is the students that sing in the choir. And they're asking me which students play an instrument or sing in the choir. So remember A, all of these students are playing an instrument here. B, all of these students are singing in the choir. Yes, there are some that are doing both right here in the middle. But when they say or, that means they could play or sing or do both. And so what happens is you're looking at everybody that's inside of any part of the circle. So when I would make my list, I would include, I'm not going to write all these out, but I would include Chad, Ken, Nate, Zoe, Allie, Jean, Tina, Drew, Fred, Laura, and Rick. All of those are either playing an instrument or singing in the choir or doing both. Okay, finally, U again is the set of students in a class. A is the set of students who are taking biology. B is the set of students who are taking history. And this time they're wanting to know which students are taking both. And so the both is where the circles overlap. So that would be my students taking both. Now, let's actually look at some symbols, and we'll do some operations with sets like this. So when you see this particular symbol, that refers to the word and I think of it like a letter A, just missing the bar there. So that's how I remember it's the letter and. And so what that means is you have to find elements that are part of both. So if I'm looking at what is part of D and E, I am comparing those sets to determine what's part of both. So when I look at D, I see a letter C, but I do not see it there. I see a letter O, but I do not see it as part of E. I see an M that is part of both. So that would be a letter that's part of both. I see a P, but I don't see it as this other set. I see an E in both sets. So that is part of both. And I also see an L that is part of both. So just to double check, C was not part of both, O was not part of both, and P was not. So in this particular case, I am saying that D and E would contain the letters M, E, and L, and it doesn't matter the order you list it. Now, when they put what looks like absolute value bars around that, they're asking you what's the cardinal number of that set. So those bars means what's the cardinal number, or that's the fancy way of saying how many elements are in the set. And so if I look at my set, I have 1, 2, 3 elements. So my final answer here would be a 3. Okay, so in this next question, we see a different symbol here. So we see the and again, and then we see what looks like a U, and that actually translates as the word or. Now, just like with order of operations with integers, you can have order of operations with sets. And so if you see a parentheses, you have to do that first. So I'm going to first take care of the Y. We call it union Z, or you can say or Z. And I think of it as like a big basket. So it kind of looks like a basket, and you're just going to throw everything in. We don't care where it comes from. You're just going to throw it in. So I'm going to start with set Y. And I know it has the letters A, S, C, R, I, B, and E. And in that same basket, I'm going to throw in these other letters. Now, I've already got the S, so you don't throw it in twice. There's a T that I don't already have. I've already got an R, so I'm not going to throw it in again. I already have an A, so I'm not going to throw it in again. I already have the I. Don't put it in again, but I also have an N. So we throw everything together, but we don't write any letters more than once. So that would be the union. Now, this particular problem says now we're going to take set X, and we're going to look at X, and we're going to compare what does it have in common with that union. Because remember, this means and. What do they both have? So when I'm looking at both sets, so when I look at set X, I see an A there, and I also see an A in my union. All right, I see an M, but I don't see it in my union. I see the letter B, and I also see it in my union. I see a letter I in set X, and it's also part of my union. I see an E that's in part of X, or in set X, and I also see it in the union. I see an N that's in set X. It's also in the union. And I see a T. So almost all of that with the exception of the M. So my final answer down here, I'm going to list all those elements that they had in common. I had the A, the I, the B, the E, the T, and the N. And we put it in set notation. Now, one thing that I don't see in these problems that might show up is they might ask you something like, what is the complement of a set? So, for example, if they ask me, what is the complement of X? Notice the symbol looks like an accent mark or maybe apostrophe, and all that means is what is not in the set. Okay, what is not in the set, and you're comparing it to the universal set that they give you. So notice in this case, my universal set are all the letters of the alphabet. So if I were to ask you what's the complement of X, then you're going to list everything that's missing. So I see an A, I see a B. I do not see the letters C or D. I see E. I don't see an F. I do not see a G, H. I do see an I. I don't see a J, a K, or an L. I do see an M. I do see an N. I don't see O, P, Q, R, or S. I do see a T. I don't see a U, V, W, X, Y, or Z. So the complement just means what's missing, in case that happens to show up on one of your problems.